I mean,
No, I don't. I just think that you just ended women's sports forever.
No, exactly not. The issue is not in. I see what you mean.
The Vikings, I'm not watching that game. Yeah, if Jameis Winston is the quarterback of the Saints, I don't blame you.
I see what you mean.
The Vikings, I'm not watching that game. I'm just doing a mic check real fast, a little sound check, really. Yeah, this is what it's normally on.
I see what you mean.
The Vikings, I'm not watching that game. I'm just doing a mic check real fast, a little sound check, really. Yeah, this is what it's normally on.
I see what you mean.
All right, so let's see how it sounds now. The Vikings, I'm not watching that game. I'm just doing a mic check real fast, a little sound check, really. Yeah, this is what it's normally on.
I see what you mean.
All right, so let's see how it sounds now. The Vikings, I'm not watching. All right, this sound check shit's crazy.
The biological differences in the male.
Yeah, women wouldn't be able to compete ever. They would just lose at every sport, with the exception of shooting sports.
I think there should be. I'm not a professional, obviously. I'm not well versed in this field. I'm only in a few sports. Either way, this.
So the question is, biological men should not compete in women's sports. Part 3, change Stephen Crowder's mind.
Sports issue, I feel like it's just a topic to grab onto that are happening right this second, but it wouldn't be happening in a few years. Maybe.
Yeah, I bet you when I tuned in, Savage. First of all, I never really watched the 9 a.m. games because I just don't remember. But today I found out by just happenstance chance, right? A little baby clicked something, touched my laptop, and then actually clicked the game on. I said, "Oh, okay." And I seen 7-7, then I just turned it off. Normally, they usually send the boring games to 9 a.m. London. Yeah.
Figure something else
Well,
out.
what do you mean in a few years? How would we figure it out?
There would be some discussion here.
Well, that's what
Which
we're having.
Is exactly right
discussion.
now.
But
Yeah.
you just,
biological men.
I'm not trying to be a smartass here, but correct me if I'm wrong. I just heard you say that it's just everyone playing together.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. So that's what you think we should move toward.
Sure.
And you understand
that's an option.
You understand there are no more
choosing-
female athletes.
I think that male and female are equal. I know there are biological differences in strength and that kind of thing.
Well, that's what sports are about.
Exactly. I understand that. But these sports aren't always going to be, the rules change every day, that kind of thing. Yeah, the NBA's rules are not the same as 10 years ago, 20 years ago. There's new rules at every point in time. So I feel like we would be able to figure something else out. It wouldn't just be one issue changing at the same time. Like, we would combine the sports. There would also be new legislation inside of the, if that's the right word for it, inside of the NBA or any sports category.
To try and make it so that women could compete?
Sure.
How would you, for example, let's take the NFL. I don't know if there is women's contact football, honestly.
Yeah, there is.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take, let me take an example, and not to be anecdotal, but I'm taking an example that has actually taken place because there haven't been that many, intersex sporting matches. Sure. But what does take place pretty regularly, and it's a non-contact sport, soccer. Yeah. So the women's national soccer champions, have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Yes, like the women's, I don't know if it's the national soccer champions or like the women's World Cup winners will regularly play high school boys and lose.
Interesting.
So he said that the women, professionals, right, and the sport of soccer will play just, I guess, elite high school soccer boys and will lose to them regularly. So you're saying like that's how dominant males can be compared to women in sports. So if a biological man decides to just change his gender and go ahead and compete against women, like I said, the 15-year-old boy soccer player can probably be the best grown adult women's soccer player in the world. So you're saying that it's that lopsided?
What rule sets do you think?
Hold on. Here's a commercial.
You want to move your car. Got a camera.
You got a camera? What?
Camera what? You checking out kids or something?
Hell no.
How old was the kid you're talking to?
Who the hell are you?
That's
Don't worry
against
about what I am
predators.
for. Yeah.
I can tell you what this is gonna do. My fist is gonna be one of you motherfuckers' faces. So bye.
No, we wanna talk to your mom.
No. Period. Not to call the cops.
We wanna speak to your mom.
Yeah, let's
Please
get your mom
don't.
out here.
She's asleep.
Let's get your mom out here.
I promise. I won't
Let's
do
get
this.
your mom out here. Hey, excuse me!
Don't
Don't put your fucking hands on me, you understand? You put your hands on me one more time, I'm gonna beat the
You
fuck
don't
out
wanna
of you,
make
okay?
him mad.
You do not want
All right.
Think you could, rather than just going with what we have, which is male and female sports for the safety and fairness of the players, right? Is to protect the players and to protect
I
their
feel like that point
opportunities.
is debatable.
Well, okay. What would we change as far as rules?
Let me hear this sheet back.
okay? You do not want
All right.
Think you could, rather than just going with what we have, which is male and female sports for the safety and fairness of the players, right? Is to protect the players and to protect
I
their
feel like that point
opportunities.
is debatable.
Well, okay. What would we change as far as rules
Let me hear this sheet back.
that would somehow offer women who have not only less strength, not only less muscle mass, not only higher body fat, not only lower bone density, not only 80% lower connective tissue strength, not only less lung capacity, not only lower VO2 max, not only a lower red blood cell count, not to mention
Sourcing up at the bottom. I'm trying to talk low, but be, heard loud.
general height and dimensions.
What's the score, Savage?
What rule changes do you think could possibly?
I can't. So I use YouTube TV, and because I'm using Zoom, it won't let me. Even though I'm not sharing YouTube TV, the game, it still won't let Zoom won't let you play certain things while you're using Zoom, right? So when I go to look at the game online, it's just blacked out. No commentary, nothing, just a black screen. Once I stop the Zoom, it'll show me the game.
Be implemented, for example, in soccer, wrestling, basketball, football, swimming, that would allow an even playing field for biological women.
I feel I like that you're trying to bombard me with all these topics, but
All right, so let's go next one. Okay.
Right.
A woman who is told, if you're assaulted, please go to the authorities. They will handle it. And then someone in a privilege of power, let's say a cop or an attorney.
Control. Look right here.
Or whatever, they ask the question, well, what were you wearing that night? That permeates.
Which is bullshit, by the way.
It is bullshit.
I'm so sorry. And you think rape culture is a fucking
Can you just wait? We'll have a conversation afterwards.
I agree with you
There's
wholeheartedly.
no conversation that needs to be fucking had. Rape is fucking serious. Rape has happened to me 4 fucking times, and I'm sick and tired of this fucking debate. Men need to respect women, period.
So you should respect women.
I'm sorry, I am a woman, so fuck you if you don't think
Sir.
I'm weak to be here.
and I'm sick and tired of this fucking debate. Men need to respect women, period.
So you should respect women.
I'm sorry, I am a woman, so fuck you if you don't. Times, and I'm sick and tired of this fucking debate. Men need to respect women, period.
So you should respect women.
I'm sorry, I am a woman, so fuck you if you don't think
Sir.
so. I don't.
Yeah, maybe I need to be more of a clown. I might get, maybe I need to be less serious to watch it. Maybe I need to start trolling, just laughing at serious issues. Yeah, maybe I will have less debates with panelists. People hate me less.
really have time for this.
I'm
sorry. Men need to respect women. Period.
So you should respect women.
I'm sorry. I am a woman, so fuck you if you don't think so. I don't really have time for this. And I don't have time.
My mistake.
You're going to let me speak because here's my truth. I've been raped 4 times. I've known women that have been raped multiple times, gruesomely. And how dare you sit up here and try to say that women aren't worth respect? Fuck you.
I didn't say that.
I am a woman. I just became a woman. It's just.
I didn't see that. Hey, but this individual, being respectful, said that this woman, okay, you know, this individual said they're a woman, so I'm gonna call this individual woman. So this woman said, well, this individual just said they just became a woman, right? So before they made the choice to become a woman, they just confessed that they've been raped 4 times. Okay, so that's crazy.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me? People don't even respect me, period. And I'm already black, so it's just like, yeah, that already goes against me anyways. But still, you piece of living garbage ass dumpster fire. Trash gum on the bottom of my shoe. Oh my God, I wish I had a tissue for the blood. I would
Might I suggest it's your behavior, not because you're black or a woman.
I'm sorry. Can I stop here? Can I stop here?
Yeah, he came back with a smoke. Oh my God.
God, I wish I had a tissue for the blood. I would
Might I suggest it's your behavior, not because you're black or a woman.
I'm sorry. Can I stop
He
here?
came back with a smoke. Yeah, so this individual said that they just became a woman, okay? So that means that most likely this individual was born biologically what we would call a man, okay? Now for me, my rule is don't touch me, right? Don't hit me, no act of violence. That's every pronoun, right? All right, so whatever you think you are, all bets are off when you swing on me, okay? Especially if it hurts, like I would perceive a man would hit me, all right? So some people can hit hard, but they want to call themselves whatever, the transgender woman, whatever you call yourself. My rule is do not violently hit me. If you do, I'm going to go all out for everyone, right? Anybody can get it. I believe in equality. If you violently hit me, I'm going to treat you like I would anybody else. Give a damn what you call yourself. That's my rule. All right?
Can I stop here, please? She has just made a statement about being assaulted, which is very vulnerable and it's very scary to do.
She just called me a...
I understand.
Yeah, the
I understand.
gentleman just called me a piece of shit, so I'm saying that's...
She.
Sorry, my mistake.
To the gentleman.
There's accountability between men.
Oh, absolutely. A country where guilty until proven innocent, yes, we'd be rotting in a jail. But I know of... Ooh. I know of a story just recently, and I'm sorry I can't say the name of this individual.
Come on, that's inappropriate, sweetheart.
You feel better?
Oh, are you offended by what I said?
No, I just don't think it's necessary. Aren't you just feeding into it?
You do realize that's a violent crime, correct?
You're fine.
Ah, so because there's no damage done, it's fine. Okay.
You see, that's so she fed right into it. That's the double standard. So who's privileged today? If that was a man, that type of act on women, would that be handled the same way? So again, hurt people hurt people. We see it with blackologist, we see it with I gotta give these women a certain term. I'll think about it.
Understood.
Just recently...
That doesn't bother you. What if that were a man? Because that's a woman.
Hey man, I will not be annoyed by y'all females, man. Like I said, man, y'all high class ass females think y'all some mother shit. Y'all ain't shit. You a mother gold digger. I'm finna put a person your ass and this female, man.
What's going on?
Man, I'm finna call. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing nothing.
I watched you.
No,
I watched
no,
you sit
they're
there
breaking
and
the law.
disrespect
Man, they're breaking the law out here.
Who's breaking the law?
I'm
breaking the law?
Breaking the law, man. You don't want no man.
Back up. Don't get physical.
You want some money.
Back up, man.
You a gold digger. All you want is some money. You don't want no relationship.
Do you know him?
No.
Exactly. You don't know me.
All right, let's just back up.
If I was John Cena, I bet you're If I was Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you're
Nobody wants to here, man. You might just want to get out of here.
Man, leave me the alone, man. Don't touch me, bro.
Get out of here.
Leave me alone, bro.
Get out of here. Leave the women alone. That's enough.
Leave me alone,
That's
bro.
enough.
Leave
That's
me
enough.
alone. You touch me, I'm gonna curse you, bro.
You're gonna curse me?
Man, I know witchcraft, fam.
Okay, that's fine.
Don't touch me, bro.
Well, I'm not gonna touch you, but you don't.
I know witchcraft, fool.
I understand.
I'm gonna curse you and your firstborn son. You touch me, bro.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't want that to happen to my firstborn son, but you know, if you have to do what you have to do. Just leave the women alone and go on your merry way.
No, I can do what the I want.
No, you
this
can't.
This is America.
Actually, you can't. That's assault.
I didn't touch the lady.
Okay, good. So let's keep it that way. But she's uncomfortable.
No.
You're being pretty violent.
No. I'm out here doing the work of Jesus Christ.
Oh my
trying
God.
to defend these goddamn men out here for these sorry ass females out here.
Jesus Christ called a lot of women gold digging suckers, did he? I didn't really read about that, and I didn't read about that in Mark.
Come on, you want to read the Bible? I got the Bible with me.
Go ahead and read your Bible, and do your witchcraft. Thanks, man. Is everyone good? Yeah. You okay? By the way, just what we're talking about, you know, I saw the big Wonder Woman sign. Don't forget the ladies, which seem to have been forgotten right now with the looting and Black Lives Matter and this stuff going on. This is a perfect example of what you just saw of an anti-rape culture. I saw every man around step in, make sure that the women were safe. He was following them. He was chasing them. And I didn't see a bunch of guys going, oh, yeah, secretly, we're on board with the rape. I saw every guy get protective and want to keep the women safe. I appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you. And it's not virtue signaling. It's not white knighting. It's just making sure that women don't get hit, women don't get hurt, women don't get raped. I think we're all on board with that. That's what men instinctively want to do. So.
Uh-oh.
Hi. Would you like to come over and talk?
That's the baby.
No?
Not little baby.
The reason that I'm not going to is because this narrative is dangerous, and this narrative got Garrett Foster murdered.
Really?
So you want to say that these people out here saying Black Lives
Yeah,
Matter are
what?
domestic
Yeah.
terrorists, you're putting lives at risk. So I will.
What the hell just happened?
Be sure to post your next location, and we'll be there. We do not entertain people who say Garrett Foster was a terrorist. F that motherfucker who says that.
Get the f out of the car, dude. You're in the bike lane. Get the f out of here. Go join your fucking friends with your white jerk-off parties. Because you guys love inbreeding. You guys go bring your fucking capitalist bullshit elsewhere.
Oh yeah? Come on and find out. Oh yeah. Come around and find out. What do you want? What do you want? Put a mask on, motherfucker. People are dying. Y'all need to put masks on, all of y'all.
Man, what the fuck?
Should I be going up and seeing what's going on? Let's see, let's move at least one.
I said that sounds a bit racist because you said everybody over here is a lot of white. I've seen a lot of white people. Said that sounds a bit racist.
Oh, that is, yeah.
That's not racist.
What does it matter if
Give me the sit downs, man.
So what does that mean, alt-light? I don't understand the accusation.
It means the people like you, Ben Shapiro, what's his
Ben
face?
Shapiro is Jewish.
Ben Shapiro's Jewish.
Oh, he's Jewish,
Yes,
right.
Ben
yes,
Shapiro
yes.
won't
It's
turn on a
following-
light switch after Friday at 6 p.m. because...
Yeah, I don't know what just happened right there. All right, somebody's waking up. Give me a second.
I feel bad for anybody that has to.
Okay, so this is where the chief arrives, and as he's the chief, this is obviously not his first rodeo when dealing with soft sits.
So, Chief, will you roll that window down for the chief so we can hear everything that's being said? So I have the firearm now, it's clear from her. So, essentially, approached, I know she had the firearm on her hip, not a big deal. I asked her if it was a firearm that she point at it or tell me instead of reaching it. She reached for it. Anyway, I asked her to put her hands on her head so I could remove it from her and take it back to my vehicle to secure it during the rest of the stop because she's mildly argumentative. She refused to do that. We ended up coming to a compromise. She let me take it off her and unload it. So it's been a bit of a confrontation. I've asked her for a license multiple times. She said she wouldn't give it until you got here, so that's where we're at. So can I have your license?
I don't want to repeat myself.
Okay, can I have your license, please?
Just real quick, man. Just so you know, my name's Chief Bruce. I know I got my camera going through this recording.
Okay. I've got my camera recording as well.
Okay.
Now, as I told you before I relinquish my information, I am going to go over this paperwork.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
Your paperwork is garbage, lady. We all know it, and luckily the chief knows it too, and calls her out on it before she even has the chance to get past the first page.
So, as you're asking me for my driver's license, I do want you to know that the right of the citizen to travel upon public highways and to transport his property thereon by horse-drawn carriage, wagon, or automobile is not a mere privilege which may be permitted or prohibited at will, but a common right which he has under his right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Under this constitutional guarantee, one may, therefore, under normal conditions, travel at his inclination along the public highways or in public places,
he's bugging back there.
and while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, neither interfering with nor disturbing another's rights. He will be protected, not only in his person, but in his safe conduct. And I can give you where to find that if you would like.
And we don't need to. The U.S. Supreme Court has already squashed that, so...
No, the U.S. Supreme Court has not.
Yes, they have. And you do have a right to travel. You have a right to travel by your feet or your horse, but you have to have a driver's license.
No, you do not.
Okay.
I started as a federal air marshal because I had a sincere interest in serving my community and my country. I was actually working as a fitness instructor, and I was teaching group fitness classes. And there was a supervisor that went to the gym that I...
And the chief is spot on. The US Supreme Court has never ruled that a driver's license is unconstitutional. In fact, they have ruled time and time again that the right to travel does not include the right to operate a motor vehicle on a public road without the proper credentials, whether it's commercial or not. Instead of reading from cherry-picked court cases from crap you've downloaded from the internet, you should maybe go read the 10th Amendment, because it allows each state the right to implement traffic laws how they see fit. But to her credit, she does produce her license. Well, kind of, even though it's suspended.
Okay, we can argue this later, so you need to provide the officer with your driver's license or you will be arrested for failure to carry and present.
For what crime?
Failure to carry and present a driver's license. It's a Class C misdemeanor in the state of Oregon.
Without a crime, it is not a failure.
So you have to let go of it. You have to
Why do I have to let go of it?
An even better question to ask is, why do you have to be so insufferable? Just hand over your license.
I presented it. You can see it.
Do you have a concealed handgun license with you?
No.
Okay. Do you have insurance for the vehicle?
Not required.
Okay. Good. Whether you feel it's required or not, do you have insurance information? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Do you have registration information? Whether it's required in your opinion or not, do you have...
I don't know if it's here in the car or not.
Okay, so you just don't know. Okay, that's fine. I'll be back.
Translation, she doesn't have the car registered, and why would she? Take a look at the state of it. It probably shouldn't even be on the road. They'd be doing her and the people of Oregon a favour by towing it away. Plus, she has no concealed carry license, no insurance, and probably no registration either. So she's doing really well.
Gina, what's the deal, okay? I need to step out of the vehicle because you're being placed under arrest for carrying a concealed firearm.
You can't look at it in a vacuum and just say we're
American
just looking
slaves
at one.
didn't have the same suicide rate.
They didn't have the same kind of abuse from within their family.
Ma'am, do you recall I asked you if that was a gun underneath your jacket?
And I said yes.
Okay, so by me not being able to tell whether it was a gun or not, it was not in open plain view, right? Okay, So it would have been concealed if I can't tell that it's a gun.
You could obviously see the butt of it.
Talk about trans.
Carrying that gun, it's concealed. An open carry is open carry. Nothing obstructing the firearm or the holster that it's in.
So had it been on the dash or like flat on the passenger seat,
or had it been on your side without a sweatshirt covering it, that's not concealed. But you have it under clothing,
so now
that's
you guys
concealed.
want to
Nothing about the law surrounding guns is nitpicking, especially in this instant. Like he said, the officer had to ask you if you were carrying because the firearm wasn't in view. That's the opposite of nitpicking.
and additionally, it's also a crime to present me with a driver's license knowing that it's suspended. I see you were convicted of driving while suspended in late December of 2021, which was only a few months ago. Additionally, you haven't been reinstated at all since then, so there's a pretty good inclination that you knew you were suspended and knew that license was not valid. That's also a crime in the state of Oregon.
You're making assumptions.
No, that's...
You're making assumptions.
Oh, as far as your knowledge of that?
You're assuming whether I knew or did not know.
Right, I never said I knew for a fact. Okay? I'm not in your mind, I can't know that. But there's pretty good evidence to show that you likely knew. But additionally from that, for the concealed firearm, yes, you are under arrest. So we just need you to step out. We don't want it to be incident or anything. Just ask you to step out and face the panel up there for us, please.
So like I explained to you, this isn't the place to argue it. That just makes things worse. It's what it's court.
Yeah, you guys look for the most petty thing that you could to arrest me for.
Okay, well, we didn't,
and I'm willing to bet that in the process you guys got a whole lot of other things going on. So before we jump to that, I'd like to know what I was pulled over for.
I told you, you're set for expired tires. Okay, additionally, the registered owner of the vehicle is suspended. It appeared to look similar to you based off the picture I pulled up before I stopped you. But in and of itself, I can stop you if the registered owner of the vehicle is suspended and the description would match. Additionally, you have a light housing on the back here that's broken. I didn't notify you that that's why I stopped you, because I was primarily just stopping you for the tags. But I mean, we can point at things, but I don't want to nitpick with you. I don't want to argue with you. Okay, this is kind of what we're going to do. You're obviously very familiar with the courts. You referenced the Supreme Court earlier in the stop. Okay, so you. Okay, so we're going to ask that you step out. We don't want an argument with you. We don't want any altercation. So your car, so you were convicted of driving while suspended recently. So
you have no insurance on the vehicle.
You guys have no legal right to tell it.
Okay, again, you can argue that in court.
But I'm talking to you now.
Okay.
So that she could teach me. Thank you. We got a bunch of cameras outside. What's your name?
Macy.
Macy. Nice to meet you, Macy.
Nice to meet you.
So you just yelled this idiot is on campus. And
did.
So do you first? I want to. You're obviously aware of what we've done here.
I'm aware.
My mind is. Yeah, rape culture. I guess we need to define. How do you define rape culture first?
I define rape culture as an area, a general area where people think that they can take advantage of other people due to certain situations, which sometimes include like places like college campuses where there's a big congregate of people drinking and they're not sure where the level of consent is.
Okay, so would it be fair to characterize a societal or a patriarchal society where rape is either encouraged or tolerated?
Like what? It doesn't have to be a male that raped a female. Like it can be either way, but...
I didn't say that.
Okay, well, what's your question?
Well, that's the idea of rape culture. The idea that rape is, and you sort of echoed that. I want to make sure we both agree to start with, that it's a society or a culture at large where rape is either promoted, encouraged, or tolerated.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't agree.
Can you tell me why?
Statistically, it doesn't bear out. We charge rapists. We put them in jail. Rape is a very rare crime, and I don't believe that we live in a culture that supports or condones rape or tolerates it.
But what about the fact that so many rapists don't go to jail? I know plenty of people. I've reported my rapist. He didn't go to jail. Many of my friends have reported their rapists. They didn't go to jail. Like, I actually literally don't know of people my age, anybody who's gone to jail, who has been apprehended. There are boys on this campus. I've been sexually assaulted by a boy on this campus who walks around and goes to class every single day. So how is that?
Really clear, first off,
apprehension.
Well, there's anecdotal, right, and then there's the empirical data.
Mhm.
So I want to get away from me speaking for all men or people who are sort of right-leaning, and you speaking for all women or sort of advocates of a more progressive worldview. You might need to adjust your phone. I think someone's calling and it slipped down there. I want to make sure you get a good shot.
Thank you, thank you.
You went from rape, it's interesting to me, to sexual assault.
Yes.
First off, I think, again, it's very important that we define the terms. There's a delineation between the two.
Uh-huh.
Would we agree?
Yeah, but would you say that like sexual assault is
You might need to adjust your phone. I think someone's calling and it slipped down there. I want to make sure you get a good shot.
Thank you, thank you.
You went from rape, it's interesting to me, to sexual assault.
Yes.
First off, I think, again, it's very important that we define the terms. There's a delineation between the two.
Uh-huh.
Would we agree?
Yeah, but would you say that like sexual assault isn't like a part of rape?
No, sexual assault is a part of rape, but someone can commit some kind of sexual
Okay,
assault.
somebody tell me the score of the game.
Not be rape. So I'm probably pretty sure you don't want to get into your personal experience on camera. If you do, we can. But again, it goes back to the question:
This is
idea
Big
that we
Wilder.
support or we
Yeah,
tolerate
he's in the back of the screen because he's
it's occurring in numbers that are out of the ordinary.
Yeah, but would
Proportionally
you
to other
say that,
crimes,
like,
rapists are convicted at about the same rate as armed robbers.
Listen,
We have an armed robbery.
so I got him to play.
Rape is a horrible, terrible, heinous crime.
Okay, somebody tell me the score of the game.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that like rape culture, like I'm honestly not talking about empirical data at all, and I don't think we should look at it as empirical data because first of all, like I don't know if you know how like uniform crime reports work, but that's like certain things that police don't report. So sometimes those numbers are skewed, first of all, and like
Sorry, what do you mean uniform crimes?
do you know like uniform crime reports and how that works?
You mean
It's
several
like,
crimes going into one report?
no, it's like where the police report to the FBI specific crimes that occur, but they are like sometimes they don't report everything, and that's how like that's the
don't report
problem.
everything?
No, sometimes they just don't because sometimes it looks better on their area, and so statistics can't always tell you exactly what happens. And then there's other forms of like methods, like the NCVS, they interview victims like one-on-one, or there's like self-reporting, and that shows that we're missing a lot of data that the police just haven't reported to the FBI. So I don't think you can base all of this on empirical data when...
Well, I think we can, but what would you base it on? Because you obviously referred to me as an idiot that rape culture is a myth. Yeah, I'm basing it on data.
I saw you in your male privilege too, so
You think I'm an idiot on that one as well?
Yeah, I do. I do. And like my brother and I were actually just talking about you yesterday. Like, yeah, you're really something. I don't know how you ended up back on this campus because you turned into a meme. Do you know that you're a meme?
Yeah.
On Twitter? Yeah. So I don't know how you have the audacity to like come back on our campus and say that rape culture is
Personal
a myth,
attack.
because that's personally offensive to a lot of people I know actually. And so especially like the audacity to come here and
The audacity
really
to come here and speak the truth. I
and speak the truth.
I love his sarcasm.
You know what? How about somebody rapes you and then you come and tell me that rape culture is a myth?
That has nothing to do with what we're
What?
talking about.
How does that have nothing to do with what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
this
And
shit's
I sit here and
like
told
bananas.
you how empirical data is bullshit because of UCR crime reports.
I don't agree.
Have you didn't even know what a UCR crime report
Hold on a
is.
second.
Do you even know what NCBS stands for? You tell me
Okay,
that.
so let's go through statistics.
Okay.
How often do you believe rape occurs? Because again, a rape culture, we both agree.
Often.
How
See,
often?
I cannot tell you the exact number because as I've repeated to you multiple times that like UCR crime reports are simply not accurate, and there are other like methods, and it is proven that those are not accurate. We do not have all of those numbers.
We don't have all those numbers, but we have quite a bit. We have from the FBI, we have from the DOJ.
Yeah, but do you know where
we
the
have from
FBI gets
from the
those? Is those
CDC.
UCR reports that you didn't know
No, not
existed.
entirely, not
Let the
entirely.
record show he didn't know what a UCR crime report is. I learned that in my intro to criminal justice
So how
class.
often do you think rape occurs?
I couldn't tell you.
Back to the subject.
For you to say that it's idiotic to not believe that there's a rape culture, again, when we both agree
You don't
on...
think there's rape culture. You just don't believe that.
Very aggressive.
I think there's an interrupting
Over talking. Look, I just said
An
it.
interrupting culture.
Yeah,
Can you
I
define
think
that for me?
interrupting me.
I said,
Hey,
can you
yo,
define
that is so funny. He said an interrupting culture. I'm going to use that. That's stolen.
that for me?
Yeah, you keep interrupting me. so I
Okay,
think it's an
okay, go
interrupting
off,
culture.
go off.
Yeah, so let me finish here. So for me to be so idiotic as to not believe in rape culture, which
Guys, don't worry. I won't be live once football starts. You dig? So, matter of fact, Let me grab my iPad so I can. Now he gonna see me. Damn. I'm hiding in the kitchen. But if I peek my head out, he's in the living room, so I could see him. But believe me, he's in the playpen looking dead my direction. When he gets quiet, once he sees me, he's gonna go crazy.
Which we both agreed is the idea that rape is perpetuated, encouraged, or tolerated in a society. You would need to present some kind of data, anything. I know you think empirical data is bullshit, that's fine. Some kind of evidence to support your premise that rape is tolerated or encouraged in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, it is tolerated. I mean, have you seen like Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, that's the argument. So rape culture is that some people believe that rape is tolerated. Ah, interesting.
Kavanaugh, are you familiar with that situation right now?
Not at all. Enlighten me.
You don't know who Brett Kavanaugh is. This man doesn't know who Brett Kavanaugh is. And he's going to sit here and tell me that rape culture is a myth. He is currently, Donald Trump is trying to appoint him to the Supreme Court. And the fact that you don't know that shows me that you don't actually really know what's going on in society, because that is a really big deal, and that is the Supreme Court is the highest level.
Let's assume that I don't know who he is. So
Okay.
Explain it to me. Why is that important to improving the idea of rape culture?
So he is currently, he is under fire for some sexual assault allegations, and that he, like, supposedly, we're not 100% sure, but he allegedly raped women when he was younger, and he, in front of a trial, was saying that, like, they found his yearbook. In front of a trial. This is in front of, this is not a trial, but it's in front of not Supreme Court justices, it's in front of senators, important people. And as they ask him these questions, they pull out his yearbook and they find terms like devil's triangle, which if you don't know what that means, that's two males and a female, and that's two males ganging up on a female. It is terrible. It refers to rape. And so he's out here, and that's who they're trying to appoint.
And this man is Brett Kavanaugh?
Brett Kavanaugh, sir. And so the fact that, like, somebody this important that is going to be on the Supreme Court, which at this point I'm unsure of, like, what you know about the government, but that is the highest position that you can acquire. And so
a Supreme Court justice.
A Supreme Court justice.
It's high up there.
It's high up there, buddy.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
So the fact that a rapist is probably going to still be.
Wait, now he's a rapist. Wait,
he's under FBI.
Yeah, she just did allegations, speculation. Now he's a rapist. You see how that works. This is why this is the issue I was having with discussion with me and No Man last night. Just because a woman yell out rape, or I'm sorry, it wasn't a woman. It was the woman's friend, which is a guy, heterosexual guy. It looks to be heterosexual. He was saying his friend was raped. And No Man went to one side, which is the actual rape, right? The physical. Then I said, well, No Man, maybe the guy obviously wasn't there. Maybe he was just stalking her, maybe exposing himself to her, and maybe he called it rape himself, because guys, we would do that. We'll call a lot of stuff rape when it's really not, because we're sensitive on that action.
Investigation, but it's a biased one because it is from the Republican side, which they want him appointed. So
I'd like to get back to Brett Kavanaugh, because it seems like this is a big case. But again, that would be an anecdotal story. Again, how does that prove the statistic that rape is encouraged or committed at large in the United States and condoned?
You're telling me that, like, if the highest, the Supreme Court, if we're going to appoint somebody who participates in a devil's triangle and refers to it as a devil's triangle, you're telling me that that's not the standard
it's security about him becoming violent on her. Right? Exactly.
So, can I answer your question?
Yeah, you can answer my question.
So if I'm to answer the question on
that's his security.
And Dr. Christine Ford, or any of the other allegations coming forward from Michael Avenatti, who represents actually the other lady who accused him of gang rape as well, that's separate again from the evidence. It's about 1 in 1,900 women are raped in the United States according to the FBI. It's about 1 in 1,000 for college students. If you include all sexual assault, according to the Department of Justice or Bureau of Justice, it's about 1 in 52 of all sex. That includes, playing grab ass. With Brett Kavanaugh,
they are very violent.
A percentage. What evidence has been presented?
It's a bunch of.
Place.
What do you mean by place?
Where did it happen?
Where did it happen? I don't freaking know. I wasn't in his high school.
When?
It was back when he was in high school, like lower age.
General.
Yeah.
Okay.
General.
Who?
It's these. If you're familiar with Ms. Ford, she has come forward, and then I believe 1 or 2 other women have come forward and said this, but Ford is definitely the
No, she brought forward
forerunner.
witnesses, all of whom could not corroborate her story. Somewhat, they outright refuted it.
I mean, like, this woman
again,
is
my
willing
standard-
to, she's actually willing to undergo intense FBI investigations. She has had no resistance to that, but he has actually denied over and over. He keeps saying he doesn't want it, and now they're giving him like a little special FBI investigation. I think this is something you should look into personally.
None of what you've just said is correct. Does the word hubris mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't. Thank
The
you.
fact that you really, did you really think that I didn't know who Brett Kavanaugh was?
I really didn't, honestly. At this point, like, I'm unsure what you actually know.
Right. Yeah. The whole reason was I was hoping for you to sit down, and you see now, if you go back, every single thing I told you I didn't know, because I wanted you to explain to me. You've explained nothing. The only time you've addressed evidence or data is saying that it's bullshit to use the words and it doesn't matter. The amount of rapes matter. The conviction rates matter. What we do with rapists matters. And when you come out and you say we live in a rape culture, and you compare Dr. Christine Ford's allegations, let's say we have no idea whether they're true or not. Zero evidence whatsoever from 35 years ago. You can't run an investigation whether who, what, when, where, or why. We have none of it.
35 years ago. That's what Haskell said. No man disagrees. Actually true. They can 35 years ago, a woman could say, hey man, that guy molested me in middle school. She's 52 now. And that allegation is supposed to be taken serious in today's time.
To then use that as a springboard to say that we live in a rape culture, I think is intellectually disingenuous. And I think it does a great disservice to people who've actually been the victim of a horrible crime.
Yeah, I'm aware because I've been a victim to that crime, and as you say, like, you haven't. And you know, like you said, you didn't know.
Oh, she definitely wants to hurt him. It's their culture. Like this little culture they're in, this buddy culture they're in, it's very violent. You know, and imagine if he was black.
What a uniform crime report is, and so maybe if you.
I also said I didn't know who Brett Kavanaugh was.
So I mean, maybe you do know what that is. So then, how can you sit here and tell me that?
How can you sit here?
That this is all like these statistics are all 100% correct.
No.
And who the hell let you back on this campus?
It's a public sidewalk.
So nobody invited you here? Officers, if nobody invited him here, can we ask him to leave this campus? He needs to leave.
All right, so let's get out of here.
I'm on the other side, but
Stupid.
I like watching every once in a while. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how familiar you are with this, but it seems like you disagree with the position. I believe that rape culture, again, as it's defined in academia with gender studies and feminism, and as it's discussed in societal nomenclature, a society in which rape is either encouraged or tolerated. I believe that's not true. I don't believe we live in a country that.
So when they say male toxicity, like, show me an example of it, like in society's behavior, because we see it. We see the feminist toxicity. We see it. Every time a man and a woman, or which perceive to be a man, which perceive to be a woman, we gotta be politically correct, or social norm correct, whatever it is, discuss a controversial topic, more specifically about women and men differences, you see women get extreme, whether it's abortions, whether it's how a woman should conduct herself, even if a woman should lower the rim, you see the aggression comes out of these women, and it's never called a toxicity. It's never called aggression. It's just seen as, oh, that's just women being women. And now when Haskell be having those talking points in here, and sometimes 2Ps, I'll be looking at like, Haskell, y'all crazy. Y'all just extra with it. But when I see how these women conduct themselves in regards to men who disagree with them on like gender wars, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know. Like maybe they aren't so, maybe, you know, they aren't so extreme in some of their talking points on the panel. Like, wait a minute. Interesting.
That's the definition, encouraged or tolerated.
Encouraged, tolerated.
I definitely wouldn't say encouraged. To an extent, tolerated, yes. I would have to disagree there.
How so? How is rape tolerated in the United States?
We do a lot of victim blaming. We don't hold people accountable. We don't really trust the women. I mean, you look at the Kavanaugh hearing, all the Republicans, they kind of believe her, but they really don't care.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Define victim blaming.
Victim blaming would be not fully believing the woman accuser.
The woman. Okay, so victim blaming is about a woman's accuser. Okay, that's victim blaming. So victim blaming don't apply to a man's accuser. You see, it's already one-sided.
Striking her down and saying, oh, well, maybe you got too drunk at the party. Maybe you're lying about this. That's
okay.
Oh, and by the way, for you guys that tuned in late, when we were discussing, I hope no man sees this, but we were discussing that one incident where the man, oh my God, it's probably better if I just show y'all, if I can.
Sleep.
He ain't go to bed yet. He ain't taking a nap yet.
You can't do it. They really can't. Like, the only thing that keeps them going is the
Okay, now he came on about here.
That racism is bad.
Come on.
As a matter of fact, most men don't. And the only way a woman would be able to defend herself against a violent crime, though statistically far less likely.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's
talk about male privilege, so we're talking about differences between.
No, it's talking about to read for 38.
No, why?
But how do you stop it?
Come on.
Like, rape happens frequently.
Okay, there we go.
It's a big thing on universities. That's why a lot of the fucking like, even if you report it
This is no man.
on the campus, a lot of them ain't reported officially to local police because the campus don't want that smoke. Like,
Okay, so the campus is reported on the campus, and the campus don't report it to police because of the bad publicity, maybe deter women going to the college, enrolling in the college.
they don't want that being associated with their college campus, which is, he just said it's a whole culture of rape there. Like, rape happens frequently and it's not charged frequently.
Yeah.
Students are not reporting it for nothing. They're probably not reporting it because they don't want to jeopardize their opportunity to go to that institution for whatever reason. What college is it?
Privilege.
Sure.
We have to talk about then.
Let me boil it down in a way that maybe might.
So this college is called Texas.
Even though
okay, so this college is called Texas Christian University. Okay, so I looked up there. This is their board. This is the students board where they put the news about the school. Police investigate on-campus sexual assault. Okay, so again, we need to get the terminology right. Right? Rape is rape. Molestation is molestation, and sexual assault is sexual assault. If a guy grabs a woman up, fill her up, grab her by the, if a guy grabs her by the, you dig, the peach, that's not rape. Okay? So anyway, let's read about this one. Where's no man? The TCU and Fort Worth police departments are investigating a report of a sexual assault that occurred August 16 in a residence hall. The victim reported meeting the suspect via social media, according to the crime alert sent Wednesday by the TCU Police Department. To date, the suspect has not been yet identified. Okay, so she met somebody off social media. Did he attend the school? So, okay, so the guy was saying that she was raped by a student. and this might be a different case, but because we didn't get the names, but let's just go with this one. And so I'm not going to correlate this one with the guy on the campus. Let's just go with this case by itself. Interim Chief of Police Robert Rangel wrote in an email, some people may be dishonest when interacting with others on social media. Quote, it is easy to pretend to be something you are not just to get attention of someone and appealing to their vulnerabilities, he wrote. Rangel wrote that doing research about potential date and talking to the person over the phone or FaceTime before meeting in person can help students stay safe while using social media. So this is about dating on social media. He added that students should not give out too much personal information before they are comfortable and feeling safe. Okay, so this one incident is about a woman on a social media app, Tinder or some shit, Grindr, and they was talking to a creep like we see. Like, hold on, case in point. Hold on. Damn, case in point. Oh, what I do with Craig? Never mind. Anyway, she was talking to a Craig type person, and you see the predator catchers, they always are people who pretend to be something and they're not. And then they come to assault the person on the other end, the vulnerable person. So this person is, let me put this in the chat. This person is going to meet somebody offline, putting themselves in harm's way because the person that they're going to meet could just be that, just be a predator, which so many are on these apps. And there you go. Okay, there's the link for that. Rape culture, apologist, trolls, TCU. So there you boy, Lateral Crowder. Okay. They're trying to get him kicked off the campus, can't cancel men, that whole movement. We don't like what he's saying. We don't like that he's challenging, provoking thoughts, so cancel him. So this visit sparked a response from faculty in TCU's Women and Gender Studies program, who sent an email urging people on campus to stand with survivors and to show support by sporting purple ribbons, female empowerment slogans, or teal colors, which designates Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which is April. Damn, they got a month. Some faculty were wearing purple ribbons the next day. Okay, on Tuesday, students received emails from the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Kathy Cavins-Toole, in which she explained that TCU did not host Crowder, but that his speech was protected under the Constitution, U.S. Constitution. See, so they want to violate your constitutional rights because they feel a certain way. So when I show you those auditor videos, the guys who recorded police officers, what niggas supposed to do in their own hood, they won't do it still today. Fake activists don't put in real work, the Panther work, surveillancing police officers, making sure that they live up to their oath, protect and serve the community. Niggas don't do shit like that. But when I show those videos, okay, they are protected under certain amendments, right? And police officers can't violate their rights. Can't do it. So when those police officers get called by somebody who has a problem with you exercising your right, which is video recording or taking pictures in public settings or in public buildings, because you feel a certain way, you feel like you would call the cops and get me to stop exercising my U.S. constitutional right, which is to take video and pictures in public accessible buildings. So when a police officer steps in and intervene and try to coerce you to stop recording or taking pictures, the auditor usually calls that police officer a feelings officer. He's no longer a law enforcer. They call him a feelings enforcer. So you're going to enforce her feelings. You're going to force his feelings. They don't feel good about me taking pictures in public. Like we could take pictures at a basketball game, at a football game, soccer game. That's public. You see a concert outside, you could take pictures of your favorite artist, right? Who? Oh no, you shouldn't take pictures of him or her. What? This is public. I can do that. No. I'm calling the cops. See, that's feelings. So these people feel a certain way, and they felt like his rights should be violated because I don't feel good about you exercising your rights. I can exercise my rights, and don't you dare violate my shit. And new rights are being created day by day to protect, this particular group. And don't you dare violate them. But you, I step all over your shit. So she also confirmed that Crowder's booth was set on a public walkway, meaning the school could not escort him off the premises. Stupid people. Stupid people. Let me put that one in the link. Stupid people. Don't know. Because I feel a certain way, you shouldn't have that right. All right, so let's get back. Let's get back in line. All right, let's get out of there. Let's go back here.
That's not what's happened, though, with the Kavanaugh hearing. So let me ask you this. Victim, for you,
Update on the score, please. Can I get an update on the score?
Make this clear, because this might be a fundamental disagreement.
Yeah.
For you, is victim...
Please, God body, Khalid.
Or do you mean victim being someone who's actually a victim of rape?
I mean, I would say closer to synonym, but...
You think victim is a synonym for accuser?
Well, I mean, if you're the victim and then you accuse your rapist or sexual assaulter of doing it, I guess, yeah.
How do you know they're a victim?
That's what they're saying. I usually believe the woman until proven the other way.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you believe that's how we should base our laws? Is believe someone who makes an accusation?
Not our laws, but we should believe her for the most part. She had a good testimony. If you looked at the testimony, who was the one that looked believable? Because it sure
looks believable.
Yeah, I disagree. And I think
I think she was cool, calm, and collect that whole time. Kavanaugh was screaming and ripping heads off.
He was crying.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was crying. And I think more important is the evidence. What was your name again?
Nick.
Nick. What year are you here?
Sophomore.
Are you the one who did the
I'm not.
naked?
No.
That was in the paper?
No.
That was you. That was you. I read about you.
Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah. Wait, okay, where's your evidence that was me?
Why does it matter?
I'm saying evidence still matters. You have to have
Oh my God, you
evidence.
spotted this nigga.
In the absence of evidence with Christine.
I didn't say absence of evidence. There's a difference.
Obviously, I understand. I'm not.
No, I know.
You understand the point, though.
Yeah,
right?
no, I know what you're trying to make. I know what you're trying to make. I didn't say absence of evidence.
So with Christine Ford, there's a complete absence of evidence. But you said you
there's
believe
not a complete.
the accuser.
There's not a complete
you
absence
said you
of
tend
evidence.
to believe the accuser until proven
We
otherwise.
know there was a party that night.
Hold on a
we
second.
know Kavanaugh was there. We know she was there. She had vivid recounts
What
of
night?
it. Whatever night they're talking about in the DC metro area.
She doesn't remember the night.
Okay, well, it was in the DC metro area. I don't have the address.
Where the party was. Who was there?
Brett Kavanaugh, Mark Judge.
Yeah. Has anyone else corroborated this?
Yes.
No, they refuted it.
No, there was actually another woman who said yes. Brett Kavanaugh, Mark Judge, and Christine Blasey Ford were at the alleged party that they were referring to.
The first 3 witnesses she brought forward denied it. So let me get back to something. Hold on a second. You sat down. You did say, believe the woman until otherwise. She makes the accusation until. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Do you not see how incredibly dangerous that is? What if someone
Well,
brings an accusation?
these aren't criminal proceedings right now. I'm talking about the Kavanaugh.
So you believe in the court of public opinion, believe the woman who accuses no matter what, unless otherwise.
Not no matter what.
That's what you said.
I didn't say.
You said you believe the woman until proven otherwise. In other words, you need to disprove the claim of rape.
Yeah.
That's incredibly dangerous, and it's not founded in reality, especially considering at the incredibly low incidence of rape that we have in this country.
Look at the Kavanaugh.
No,
we had two.
There's a reason that it's innocent until proven guilty in this country. You understand? That's not, that's not been the rule of law in other countries. You know, that's actually kind of a new idea.
No, I know.
Yeah. So, for us to not apply it here just because of rape would be incredibly unfair. And again, this is what perpetuates the idea of rape culture. You say, well, I believe the victim. How do you know they're the victim? I believe the survivor. How do you know they're the survivor? We have a process to determine that.
I know we have
throw
a
it out,
process.
as you suggested, just to believe the woman until proven otherwise.
All right, I think I might have misspoke.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
But I'm saying we shouldn't, right after these allegations came out. So I was kind of in the middle. I didn't know, there wasn't a lot of evidence for her or for him. It wasn't looking great for him though. And a lot of people.
There's no evidence.
There is some evidence. There's a lot of Republicans just jump to, oh no, this is nothing. She's lying, without knowing anything. So why are her claims automatically invalidated Like it's the same on the flip side.
No,
Republicans the day after said
claims
this is
need
trash.
to be validated.
I know,
Right.
but
Outlandish claims need to be validated.
but no one really wanted to look into them, even when they came out.
What are you talking about? Are we just discussing Brett Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's incorrect. People have looked into it. People
Okay.
Brett Kavanaugh's
They
background.
didn't want
They
to.
tried
though.
to find
While
witnesses.
these words
No, they didn't try to
are
find
often used
witnesses.
interchangeably,
They moved the
accusations
hearing-
tend to
they-
refer to claims
Okay,
of
okay.
one party's criminal wrongdoing,
Some other people want to come forward. So
while
I'm
an
gonna disagree with you.
allegation generally refers to claims
Right,
of
let's talk
wrongdoing
about
that
rape
may
culture a
or
little bit.
may
We went
not
off
be
all-
criminal,
all right.
but are generally evaluated
just remember-
in civil court.
One last. Let me get the last.
It's gonna be an insult.
It's not gonna be an insult. It's not gonna be an insult. I don't like insulting
You
people
got it.
over politics. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna say.
A statement made allegation
rape culture
is a
is a real
statement
thing.
made without giving proof
It is a big
that
problem.
someone
I know
has
many
done
people
something wrong
whose
or
friends have
illegal.
been raped and sexually assaulted. It really triggers a lot of people. Like, don't just come out here and try to stir the pot, all right?
I don't think that.
No. We've been
what
good,
is-
but I saw the last video last time you were here, and it got a little heated. You know, I'm just saying.
There was a guy who got very heated.
Yeah.
But the overwhelming majority, if you've seen
Yeah.
the series, are conversations like these.
No, I know.
And I think it's important to disagree.
No, I know it is.
And that's why I think it's important for there also to be
I know.
the rule of law respected when it comes to rape. For the same reason, because I would want you to be
There you
afforded
go.
the same benefit.
I know.
Innocent until proven guilty. I'm not guilty of coming here to try and-
Accusation, the definition of an accusation is a statement made against a person that they have done something wrong or is the wrong doing that a person is accused of having
I know,
done.
but
An example of an accusation is when a
real
person
thing.
files
It's
a
a
complaint
real
against another
problem.
person
You look at all
for
this stuff
theft.
that's been coming out over the past few years with the Me Too.
So accusing, basically.
It's a real thing. It's going down.
Thank you. I disagree.
Thank
but
you
I
for
appreciate
coming.
taking the time. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now, there are plenty more conversations to get to here, but I just wanted to let you know that none of these episodes occur without you joining Mug. That we live in a rape culture.
I disagree too. I agree.
Okay.
I disagree that that's the country that we live in. I don't think that is. I just wanted to hear what you have to say.
Was it
Marley.
Marley. Sorry, I didn't hear your name.
No, you're good. Like Bob Marley.
Okay. Well, I appreciate.
No,
you
yeah,
saying
I
that.
literally, that was just 2 minutes.
Okay.
I just want to hear what you had to say.
Thank you very much, Marley.
Thank you so
I appreciate
much.
it. Yeah, I know it's hard when
It's
people
really hard.
yell
and I
and
just,
shout down.
No, I think that you at least deserve a voice, and you at least deserve to come here and just say what you want to say and freedom of speech. And
I think we
respect
all agree
that
rape
part
is
of
a
our
horrible
country.
crime.
Oh, it's
So-
horrible. I mean, I have friends, and me personally have dealt with sexual assault, and I think it's horrible. But it's
All right. So let's move on real quick.
That talk about trans people, intersex people that used to be referred to as hermaphrodites, which is a phrase that we don't prefer anymore. We find it to be very triggering and
Carefully. You said the truth of your reality. That you are a woman.
A transgender woman. Yeah.
Okay. How do you know that's the truth?
How do I know that it's true?
Yeah.
How do you know that you're a heterosexual, I presume, heterosexual cisgender man?
Okay.
That's presumptuous, right?
No, well, that's okay. That was presumptuous,
Yeah,
but
right.
correct.
Okay.
Well, I think this is obviously a big component of the LGBTQAI community that preferences, sexuality preferences. As far as I'm attracted to women, that's a preference, obviously. So it's innate. I was born, I like women, and biologically I was born a male because I have a penis and the hormonal profile and chromosomes of a male. So that's how I know that it's true to state that I'm a male.
That you're the male because you're a male because like you're XY.
I didn't simplify it to XY to a multitude of factors. I have a male brain, I have a male body, everything from bone density to my hormonal profile to, yes, my penis. All of these things pretty clearly would file me in the cabinet under male, biologically.
Like in the spectrum of biological variation, you're in that big collection of people that have all of those things in alignment.
Yeah.
There
exactly,
are people, right? Like 2/3 of 1% is the best number now, right? That are transgender, based on what we know.
Sure.
Which in Texas is like 130,000 adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who, for reasons that are still unknown, don't have all of those biological components that you described, don't align as cleanly as yours do.
Okay. Well, you say, unknown. Again, this goes back to you said your truth that you are a female. You asked me why am I a male. I hope that I've answered it as clearly as I can.
Right.
So I would return that same question to you because I think we need to start with the presupposition. There needs to be the same amount of validity to our argument.
Can y'all imagine if Zion Williams decided that he was a woman and wanted to play for the WNBA? I think he'll look like grandmama. Look, Larry Johnson. This is how Zion Williams would look if he decided to become a woman and play basketball. And he would be dominating. And I believe it'll get some ratings because I think people would just be laughing. But, you know, that's where we're going. Like, because they can swim, they can compete, they can run track. Yeah, that's what it's going to take to get those ratings, I guess.
Arguments as far as us rationalizing them. You said the truth that you are a female. You were born a male. How do you know that's the truth?
I was born a transgender woman.
Okay, and how do you know that's the truth?
How do I know that's the truth? Like, in what biological context? Is it validated? Is that the question?
Yeah, how do you know that you're not simply a man who believes he's a woman?
How do you, like, why are you, if you're heterosexual, why are you attracted to women?
Well, there's a lot of biological mechanisms in there, namely to procreate since the beginning of civilization.
If somebody is attracted, same-sex attracted, to a gay man, do you believe that that's not their intrinsic reality?
Well, again, it's a sexual preference. And I think that's very important because the sexual preference is different from biology, right? And this is what I find also pretty interesting to me is right now they're teaching that, you know, obviously you're born gay, but gender is a choice. And that to me, I just don't agree with. So, how do you know? You say that you're a transgender, you were born a transgender woman, right? But I would assume on your birth certificate it said male.
Right.
So at some point you made the decision to live the way that you live right now, correct?
At some point I made the decision, it was almost a decade ago, to unpack all of the guilt and shame I felt for being different, right? And at some point I made the decision to unpeel guilt and shame, right? About my truth, and to start trying to reconcile it with the rest of my life and to reconcile it with a society that is still pretty hostile to people who are different. So it was a question of no longer fighting against.
Wait, but how are you different when it's just males and females, women and men? So whichever way you go, decide to go, whatever choice you use, you're going to be either a man or a woman. Like there's no third option.
Myself. Yeah. So, and then even after I did that, I spent another 6 years desperately trying to not accept that. I accepted the truth, and I'm like, how do I reconcile with that? I'm an engineer, a civil engineer. I'm a parent, a special needs child, right? Like, how can I be who I knew I am and still function in society? So it took me years, and eventually I realized that I don't have a choice. Like, you know, we look at the news this morning, right? And with Tony Bourdain, taking his life, right?
Right.
So 40% transgender people attempt suicide.
Can I pause you right there really quickly? Just first off, I hope that I haven't been hostile. I know you talked about
haven't been hostile at all. No, this is a great.
Okay, good.
Saints ain't do nothing. Yeah,
I know we disagree, but I certainly don't want to be disrespectful to you personally, even if I disagree with you.
Winston get black quarterbacks a bad rep. That's why I'm glad Cam Newton's out the fucking
Okay, well,
league.
I'm glad that way because the last thing I want is for you to feel as though
Winston is trash.
It's been a sandbagging. And you've brought up, Anthony Bourdain. You brought up the suicide.
How many interceptions Winston threw?
Important,
3?
It's about 41%.
I'm gonna guess 3. He
It
threw
doesn't
3
get better
picks.
after hormone replacement therapy.
He's just trash,
or even
man. He's
actually
just
doing
trash.
the full sex reassignment surgery.
So here we are, right? I will.
I'm not gonna get some Dak Prescott either. He ain't trash, but
I
I'm
think
not
the
gonna.
data shows that when people are able to live their lives as themselves and are accepted in their community, in their social networks, that's their friends and their family, professionally, in their city, when they're not stigmatized, when they don't lose their job, when they don't lose.
Yo, fellas, let me test. Y'all might know basketball. Y'all don't know football, do ya? Give me a receiver that's like you think would come off. That's not a high profile receiver, like a like how Devontae Smith last week went crazy. Give me a receiver y'all think that's on a low but can have a high chance of going crazy in 22 minutes, please. I'm about to cash
They
out.
aren't ostracized or demonized, right? Like our state legislature spent the last spring and then called a special session essentially to demonize my existence based on somebody's, I don't honestly, sincerely held religious belief. I'm not sure why, but to basically challenge my very validity as a human being, right? Then, yeah, people can be frustrated and scared and terrified and hopeless and then kill themselves. But in my community, when people are able to live their lives and are accepted and able to, aren't discriminated, right? Then their suicide rates fall dramatically. The single best thing you can do for somebody who's LGBTQ of any sort, but especially trans, is recognize their truth and accept their humanity.
Well, I would disagree with you there. And first off, I think you made a couple. Yeah, let me explain why. You made a couple of presumptions. Maybe they're not trying to demonize your very existence. Maybe they just disagree with you, and maybe it doesn't come from a Christian perspective. Maybe it comes from a scientific one. Maybe it comes from a perspective of a medical perspective. For example, at Johns Hopkins. No, that's okay. I think we're okay having a conversation, you and I, right now, right?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. Thank you, though.
Somebody always stepping in, man.
And the suicide rate statistically, anecdotally, I'm glad to hear that your group of friends do better. Because one thing, I definitely don't want people attempting suicide in a 41%.
It's not just my friends. I mean, the data from the National Center for Trans Equality, the Equality Texas, HRC, it's not like my anecdotal sort of group of friends. The scientific data shows that when people are not discriminated against and when transgender individuals are able to live their life, whether they, just transition socially or have hormone replacement therapy or have surgery, whatever, when people are able to live their lives, their mental health is better.
Well, statistically, it's inaccurate. Statistically, the suicide rate doesn't really improve after
I'm
sex reassignment therapy.
But that, so maybe that's something we can follow up on.
Okay, let's assume it's comparable. Let's assume it's slightly lower. Let's go with that. I've seen the studies that you're talking about, and it might be slightly lower. It's not dramatically lower. But I think this is predicated on the idea, and I don't think it's an ill-founded idea, that because of discrimination, because of societal pressure, because of feeling like an outsider.
All right, this one, let me get Smiles in there. Smell more fiery.
Any biological trait, right? That humans exist on a spectrum, whether it's a racial spectrum, like there are people that are half something or whatever, biologically we're all on a spectrum. Some men can grow facial hair and some can't. Like some of it's defined by chromosomes, some of it's defined by hormone levels, some of it's defined, I think you would not refute that we all exist biologically on a spectrum in terms of our phenotypes, right? And how we...
There are certainly differentiations between people. For example, you can have a multitude of men. Some are tall, some are short, some are fat, some are thin, some have red hair, brown hair, but they're all men,
It's nice when we can agree on something. Well, so in terms of that spectrum, and where I hope that my existence can shed some light for you, I was actually born intersex, which means that you would never know this, and no one who's ever been with me sexually would ever know this either, but I was actually born with XY chromosomes, and so instead of having a uterus and ovaries, I had internal testes that were then removed from me by doctors who come from kind of your perspective and some similar perspectives, that we need to normalize people to fit these society-driven standards of what a human is or should look like. But so for me, my question for you is, if I irrefutably was born intersex, I can...
That's okay. You don't. I'll just go.
I don't need to get my birth certificate.
No.
Yeah. Thank you. There's another thing. This whole birther thing, right? It's proving
birther.
Basic truth. Yeah, the whole birther movement, right? Needing to show our birth certificates to prove our
birther movement. Oh my God.
Thinking back to Trump and Obama and everything. Anyway,
so a guy. Okay, my God. This we doing now. We're gonna hide the birth certificate of people. So are we doing that now, where it's no longer gonna list male or female? Are we really gonna start doing that? I feel sorry for the youth, man. And baby, I'm biased. We really gonna try to hide the gender on the birth certificate? So what if? Because I don't believe transgender people can't have babies. That's biologically, right? Naturally, no, right? So what happens when a heterosexual boy is dating a transgender, somebody who decided to do one of those switches early in their life, maybe 7, 8, 10 years old. The guy heterosexual meets this transgender who is taking all type of pills and maybe even had the surgery. Okay. So this 16-year-old, 17-year-old boy meets that transgender at 17 because largely all of that, and maybe that transgender like relocated to different states. So now that transgender get to start all over. The transgender is introduced as a new student, a new girl at the student, right? So the 16-year-old likes the girl, meets her. They go on to get engaged. College, he's 25. In his mind, okay, I'm ready to start a family. In the transgender mind, it's like, shit, that ain't gonna happen. I was born a woman. So, I mean, what happens then? So he's trying to get the transgender pregnant. It ain't happening. He go test his sperm count. He wants the transgender. Well, he don't know, but he wants a transgender person. We know to test the eggs. And the doctor like, what eggs? He like, well, you know, women we got sperm. You tested it. I'm fertile. You test her eggs. See if she's fertile. Your fiance doesn't have eggs. Like, what you mean? Well, to put it frank, she was born a man. Like, and then possibly that transgender is added to the stats or transgender crime, your dig, violence. Like, that's what's going to happen. Come on, like, we can't be goofy.
Unrelated. That was silly.
So if it is irrefutably true that I was born intersex and that actually almost 2% of the world's population, so 150 million individuals worldwide were born intersex and then normalized through surgeries or otherwise, if we are born somewhere in between in terms of our like biological traits, then how can it not also be true that we might identify somewhere in between in terms of our gender and how that presents itself?
Okay.
Like certain people are born, for example, with breasts and a penis, or they might have ambiguous genitalia, or like me, you know, like I was born with, like, I hate that I have to sit here at a table with you talking about my genitalia. I don't believe any human should ever have to do that.
You don't have to.
Well, the reason that the reason I am is because there are people like you and, you know, that I was about to say with respect, but that don't respect basic biology, people's identities, and like that was kind of my biggest argument against the bathroom bill when I was arguing with Lois Colcourse, is like, if you want to pass a discriminatory piece of legislation, at least open a bio textbook first. Like, it's not hard. Like, these are just like basic science.
Okay, so a couple of things there. First off, I hope you don't feel as like forced you to sit down here in any way.
No, you didn't force me, but the conversation and the existence of it, that's what forces me, because there are people who like are so fed up with having to legitimize their existence on a daily basis when you don't have to do that, right? Like, you were born in a way where like no one is challenging that, and that's something that I heard my boss talking about too.
It's actually not true. But you know, we don't need to get into my personal history.
Okay.
So you mentioned a couple of things there. I want to sort of.
Water for
there isn't. We used to until we realized that it was a legal liability. If maybe Danielle can get you a bottle of water, because you know the last thing you want is someone saying that I poisoned you. I would never do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can understand. So you mentioned basic biology textbook, and then you immediately followed up with how someone identifies.
Yeah.
I think they're two separate issues. Now, I understand that you're intersex. We've talked about this with several.
Right. So then what do you think in relation to that?
Yeah. So we've talked about intersex. So another thing strongly
Let me try to find one.
Statistically, you said 2% of the population are intersex.
I said almost 2. I believe it's 1.7.
I believe it's significantly lower than that, particularly in the Western civilization, much lower.
There's actually different data, though, as well, because what happens is doctors will play God and make a decision about what biological sex a child should have, and so they perform a surgery, and sometimes
before it comes on.
Okay, this latest installment of Change My Mind is regarding the abortion issue. Questions?
Sure, of course.
So you first came in, I know you said that you said life was very important to you, but you didn't say pro-life. So can we, I guess, establish what that means first, before I kind of want to unpack the personal story, which I can only imagine is harrowing. I've never been through that. I'm not going to act as though I can relate to that. I'll do my best as we discuss it. But you said life is very important to you, and then went into that story. What does that mean?
I've fought for life my entire life. I've risked my life for other people's lives. That's why I went into international relations.
Okay.
I worked at the United Nations. I was very successful at setting something up for people that live in rural areas, setting up social and economic development for them.
Okay.
It's something that I dedicated my education to. It's something I dedicated my career to. It's something that I was eventually captured by rebels in West Africa, trying to fight for.
Right.
So it's not something that I take lightly
Sure.
at all. But the option for...
She was captured by rebels in West Africa.
Given the position that I was in, and when my obstetrician that I had...
I'm going to hold this a little closer because of all the ambulances, so forgive me, I don't mean to intrude, but we won't be able to hear you that well. Go ahead.
But when I went to my obstetrician when I was pregnant with my daughter at 16, or 15 actually, I had her when I was 16, she didn't say, what are you doing? Go take care of this.
So you wouldn't consider, so you asked if we were serious because you definitely don't consider yourself pro-life then, in that sense?
Not in that sense.
Okay. So my next question is, you used the word, you said, rather than endure that trauma.
Right.
Did you mean that for the baby or yourself?
I meant it, I guess, primarily watching it. Every time I went in was increasingly more traumatic. Watching each cardiac cell die off was increasingly more traumatic.
Do you mean for you or traumatic on the...
For me and for my husband.
Okay.
Right. At that point in time, depending on what you believe, the nervous system hadn't really been fully formed, so I don't know how much trauma the actual... But it was done.
All right, I got my FanDuel on up in.
That we could have done at that point in time based on the medication that I was taking.
It's interesting to me that you just used the word dying.
You already lined up for today? You bet on Sportsbook?
Cardiac cells were dying.
No normal connection between two
cardiac
sects.
cells, heart stopped and then it...
Sure. But you said it was dying, not cardiac cells, it. So that would we agree that that was a life?
That it was a potential life.
Now, important to note here, this is not a debate tactic. This is actually very important when discussing an issue to find out what your terms are, to define them so you're both understanding issues. And notice how she sort of hopscotch. She jumps from word lily pad to word lily pad using her own definitions.
Absolutely.
That happens a lot. And now it makes sense because she doesn't care where life begins anyway. She uses the word dying. She uses the word cell. She talks about heartbeat and then backtracks because none of it matters. We're okay with abortions up to 9 months. Let's keep that context.
Was it a potential life or a life?
It was a potential life.
Okay, can you help me with this, again, being pro-life, differentiating between the idea, the potential of life versus a life. So when you say that as a potential life, potential for what?
A potential to grow into a baby that could self-sustain on some level outside of its mother's womb.
So you mean potential human. So the potential human is fulfilled into actual human. I want to make sure that I'm clear here so we understand the kind of the terms we're following. Mm-hmm. The potential human then becomes a human when it is sustainable outside of the womb.
I think that's true. I think that until that point it is a decision between, because it is completely dependent on the mother.
Sure.
So to enforce certain laws or certain acts on her that the baby wouldn't be able to survive otherwise, I don't think is exactly pro-life. I mean, if you could extricate the baby and put it in a incubator pod or something, then maybe that would be more ideal. But forcing a woman who, in my situation, was just taking seizure medication,
sure,
because of whatever. And again, not that it matters 100% whether you're married or not, but a lot of people say, but I was, and it wasn't an economic situation.
No, I don't want to get into at all any of the economic or the moral arguments or religious arguments. I don't think that does. I think it does a disservice to everybody when we're having this discussion. So I'm just interested in this concept you said of sustainability. Then you mentioned bringing it out and putting it into an incubator. So the potential for human life, we're now saying, is fulfilled as a human life when it can survive outside of the womb. Then you mentioned an incubator, but with technology, for example, now you have babies who can survive earlier than ever before.
It's true.
So does that change the value of the life? Let's say a baby today who's premature who can survive 3 months, 4 months early outside of the womb due to technology, as opposed to a baby in the 1940s. Is today's baby's life more valuable just because of our technology?
I don't think it's more valuable, but I think it speaks more to a woman's rights, because a lot of people that are pro-life, I understand that. I grew up with fundamentalist Christian mother.
Well, I understand, but let's put that on the table. No one here is a fundamentalist Christian.
I'm just saying, in terms of my viewpoints, and they've been very varied in terms of my own upbringing. But at some point, that child becomes a reality, and then there's a mother that's involved, and there seems to be a lot of support or a lot of fervor around the pro-life movement, and then not a lot of support about what happens after that point, and putting certain women, maybe such as the situation I was in, or other situations that are, and not giving them the right to choose what happens with their own bodies.
Again, trying to keep this brief, notice how she has not answered the question at all regarding the value of that life born today versus the 1940s, because I was using her own premise of an incubator. And now she's on to supporting the baby after it's born. In other words, free stuff, free healthcare, free college. This is sort of the bumper sticker logic that we move to, and it's important to bring them back to the point.
If you're really pro-life, then
right, if you're really pro-life,
X, Y, and Z.
Free stuff. I try to bring her back here, again, assuming that we can find common ground. Now remember, she's okay with abortion up to 9 months with no restrictions, period. I didn't know this at the time.
And what happens with their
But
own
we've just agreed it's
futures.
not right. It's not your body at that point if it's a baby in an incubator, right?
Right.
That's a life.
Right.
So we have
But
potential
is the
life
movement going
and
to then
life.
take care of that baby in the incubator?
Well, that's not what we're determining right now. What we're talking about is I'm pro-life, meaning I believe that that's a life. So it's first important, I think, if we're going to have a discussion and determine where we disagree, for example, as to where life begins, right?
Okay.
So according to what you just said, it's not life, it's potential life. Now, then we talked about technology and sustainability. So would you support abortions up until the moment of birth? Where does the line end then at that point? What makes it okay versus not okay? When is it a life?
That's an interesting question. Personally, and I've never been in the position of someone who's had to have one. I find partial birth abortions grotesque.
You'll see later on, though, she really doesn't, because she doesn't want to put any limitations on them. And this is kind of a hedge, too. Personally, but I can't push it on someone else. Well, personally, I find murder wrong, but it's not my position to tell someone else if they can or cannot murder. That's why the definition of where life begins, or whether or not it is a life, at this point she's effectively conceded that it is, matters so much.
Yeah, let's get somebody a little explosive.
That was a baby. That was a baby with its own. Listen, you might not like this. No, that was a baby. Let me tell you something. What you in? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you need? You were hoping there was some. It's the legality of we can't necessarily give people water, because then they go, I got salmonella, and then they point to me.
Yeah,
with the
that's
YouTube
fine.
channel. So you seem like you're upset. Obviously, the sign is pretty clear. I'm pro-life. You've been listening to some conversations. If you disagree with my position, you're welcome to change my mind. But you still need to calm your nerves. What are you so upset about?
One thing that definitely really strikes a chord with me is the fact that a majority of women who have actually had to face the choice of abortion, it is because it was either necessary, it was medically necessary, or it was just a decision that really was the fork in the road of your future. And from my understanding, a majority of men, I understand they pay child support. I understand that a man is half what it takes to create a child.
Sure.
But when you are by yourself and you are alone and it is dark and you have to face, do I lose my future? Do I throw away my education? I can go back. Yeah, you always say I can go back, but that's twice as hard raising a child by yourself. I watched my mom as a single mother, and I don't want that life for myself. And abortion itself, it's a right. I understand the legalities behind late abortion, and I do not support it unless it is medically necessary.
Okay.
In the terms of it would kill the mother, the fetus is no longer viable.
Can I pause you real quick? Because
Yes.
you've gone to a few different things.
Yes.
First off, I appreciate you being so forthcoming with your personal story. You didn't have to do that, so I do appreciate
I
that.
understand a lot of people are not willing to talk about it.
Well, thank you very much. As far as yourself, if you don't want to be a single mother, go through that life, don't have sex.
Right.
Use contraception.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm not against choice. I believe there are 4 choices.
Or abortion.
Abstinence, contraception, motherhood, adoption. I'm just against the, hold on one second, I'm just against the one that involves killing another human being. And I think it's very important here to go back to the very first thing that you said, which was most abortions are medically necessary, and then you said, or it's a fork in the road in determining your future. Conflating those, I think is pivotal because most abortions performed are not medically necessary. You're right with the second half. Most are performed because the mother at that point doesn't want to deal with the consequences.
All right, so the game's coming on. We're gonna pick up from here. We out of here. You dig? I just want to entertain until the game comes on. I forgot there was a game already on this morning. So anyway, you dig?